little background about me and a little background about Cosmo. My name is Kaveh Sadagian. I am the mentioned Director of Marketing and Enrollment at the Center for Social Impact Strategy, which is an exciting new center that just got launched at the University of Pennsylvania. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but just to give you a quick background about me, I came to this world of social impact from the private sector. I used to work at IBM, which was great, right out of undergrad. I did the consulting thing for a little bit. I went even deeper into the private sector and did oncology, pharmaceuticals for a little bit. And I found my way somehow from that to social impact strategy. I don't know how yet. I still haven't figured that out. But I was a creative director there for a little bit, launching drugs and national sales meetings and whatnot. And then worked my way over, worked at Ashoka a little bit, and then finally landed here at the University of Pennsylvania. I haven't looked back since. It's been wonderful. In terms of passion points and whatnot, I mean, we are both actually very passionate about enabling folks that want to create change in the world and giving them access to the tools, the training, and the networks that they need to actually be able to do that. That's a little bit about me. I'll pass it off to Cosmo. Talk a little bit about you.
Good evening, guys. Guys, were we in the rainstorm when it happened at like 2:10 without an umbrella? Just barely. That was me today. I live in Brooklyn and I work with the Center for Social Impact Strategy with Kaveh. My name is Cosmo Fujiyama. I'm a first-generation American, two parents that believed in the power of education. My dad, I can't believe, was a ski instructor. We taught people how to ski. My mom is a math teacher. And they both taught two ways. One, learn by falling. The other one is just 30 minutes a day, as you guys may remember from your days of math. But at the core of that, I think it's this idea and this principle that learning is a powerful tool for us to address the toughest challenges of this world. And you are in this room, I'm guessing because something about the words lesson in social entrepreneurship or Honest Tom rang a bell in your mind. Can I ask the freshmen for you guys to raise your hand? I'd love to see who's the first year at Penn. Awesome, don't be shy, I'm not going to make you do things. Sophomores, second years? Okay, about 6 people. How about juniors? Oh, okay, seniors? A couple seniors, and then other graduate students. MBAs, or wow, we have a lot of graduate students that are actually half the room. That's wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and Kaveh and I, throughout this program and this presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about our perspective working at the center and our own personal experiences about social entrepreneurship. But at the latter part of the presentation, we have invited two of our alums that are alumnus of the program as well as a current student in the graduate program here to talk about their perspective running social enterprises right now. Raise your hand if you're interested in starting a social venture one day in your lifetime. That's like 90%. Wow. That's amazing. And how many of you guys have no idea what that even means? No, just kidding. It is a field that's very crowded and there's lots of ways of defining it. I don't presume to know the way, but I'm going to walk you guys through a sense of what that means, and hopefully by the end of the presentation, you guys are walking away with concrete ways of thinking about how you might make that dream you just articulated possible. So the Center for Social Impact Strategy, we're based at the School of Social Policy and Practice here at Penn, and our function is twofold, really. It's about driving the research in this field. What's working, what's not working, and how do we support social entrepreneurs, not just so that they learn how to be successful, but what's not working from a market perspective or from a resource point of view so we can support the growth of this industry. Action. At the end of the day, we want to support people who want to build a business that creates social value. We want to support researchers that want to take their ideas and actually generate a conversation, and we're all about instilling that action bias as a center. We're a small team, but our goal is to serve the Penn community and have programs for Penn, but also to take a lot of the learnings that we're learning here and take them to the global community. Our objectives as a center are threefold. So you guys now know that we do research and we also train people who want to start a social enterprise. We provide the trainings and tools. First and foremost. And second, we think about developing a deeper understanding about the strategies because as we know, there's multiple ways of approaching social entrepreneurship or building a venture that creates social value. So we think about what is the strategies that are most effective. And three, and possibly the most exciting for me, is about creating a thriving global community. At our center, like I mentioned, we work with undergrads, graduate students, and PhDs across the Penn University campus. We work with faculty, but we also work with a global community that we're connected through some of our online programs. We have a Coursera course that we do in partnership with Wharton, of which about 40,000 people have checked in and said, I want to learn about this from over 70 countries. And they're saying, I want to learn how to create a business, or I care about an issue in my community, how do I do that? And of those 40,000 people, we select the top entrepreneurs from them. We actually pay for them to come to a program in Puerto Rico. This year we're doing one in Costa Rica to help them connect to this global community. Our program, so I'm going to walk you guys through, and you can ask questions at any moment if you want me to clarify. I mentioned we have a research vertical. Our other is on online training and getting a lot of this great content out to the world and training people online and connecting local leaders. Our residential experiences are these immersive boot camps. We basically build a school that's not a school in a beautiful place where inspiration is a core ingredient to creativity. So we've been doing this house called the Impact House. Has anyone heard of it? Or has anyone been a fellow in it? Diana, Phil, Jarrett. It's a program that's for 20 to 25 emerging leaders out of the Penn community, and we help them take their ideas forward by actually living together, working together, and ideating and prototyping ideas in the course of 8 days. And our final one is around the Penn campus. So this event is an example of what we want to be doing is to work with organizations and other individuals on the Penn campus to help their work thrive. Peter Franklin is the gentleman here. He teaches social entrepreneurship at the School of Social Policy and Praxis. And he is the founder of the center. And when we asked him to think about, why social impact strategy is the name, and why is it relevant? Why does this matter? Why should people be checked in? He defined it in this way. Social impact strategy is any effort to create public value that is systemic, sustainable, and innovative. Effectively creating social impact is an essential challenge to all organizations regardless of geography or sector. I think what's so powerful about this is that he's saying, hey, if you want to be a relevant company or a relevant nonprofit or a relevant individual, thinking about the value it creates for society is something the market is making. It's something that we as core beings believe in, that we want to have a more just and equitable place. Because who knows what 100 years, 200 years, or 10 years might look like. And it's about really checking into this as not a niche thing. Social impact is really about everybody saying we need to do better for planet, for people, for purpose. Does anyone recognize this photo or this gentleman behind me? Does anyone know Bill Drayton and the work he's done at Ashoka? Ashoka is about a 30-year-old nonprofit organization based out of Washington, D.C. Kaveh and I actually had the opportunity to work there. And he thinks about social entrepreneurship in this way. Social entrepreneurs are not content just to give a fish or teach how to fish. They will not rest until they have revolutionized the fishing industry. What I love about this quote, when I had the chance to work with him, he understands that it's not just about creating a faster way to distribute a product to somebody who's in need, thinking more critically about why is that product not getting to that person? How do we change the systems that create the delay in getting those aid, those products to people in a much more systemic way? And he's saying this is the only way to solve it because, guys, we've been around on this planet for a while, and the same issues around water scarcity, health, gender equality still exist. So just teaching people to do it more efficiently isn't going to help. Let's change the system is what he's saying. Hell yeah is what I say. Amen, anybody? Yes. Quickly, I'm going to walk you through 3 people. I just talked about kind of how the professors and the godfather of the current term social entrepreneurship, Bill Drayton, talks about it. But what about the people who are on the ground running enterprises? You're going to hear from 2 of them, and hopefully Diana can chime in a little bit about that. But one gentleman, I'll actually tell you 3 stories. Sean Rock is an alumnus of the University of Pennsylvania, and he grew up in a very rural community in Ghana, and there are some personal challenges he went through around healthcare access that have driven who he is, because he says Healthcare is inaccessible in rural parts of the communities where I'm from. How do I do that? How do I make a difference? And he won the Penn Engagement Prize last year. Amy Gutman gave him $100,000, got it? $150,000 to launch his venture. He graduated from undergrad, literally in May, came to the Penn Social Impact House in August, and he built out his business model and how he's going to do that. He's on the ground right now in Ghana, putting that money to use to build a school, to provide access to education for women and girls in rural Ghana, and he's also building a health clinic to achieve those dreams. Jenny Dawson is another member of our community. She's a clinical psychologist by training, and she's a part of the executive program, the online course. She found us through Coursera. She's in Sydney, Australia, and her life's work for the last 30 years has been around trauma and how do you treat trauma victims from really intense experiences, for example, recovering from the Congo and the atrocities that happen in the war. And she works with different organizations and people on the ground through a training program to address this. She's been running her nonprofit for 10 years. And at one point she said, you know what, I don't know how to grow this business and how can I get help? She came to us a year ago. She took our executive program and she decided, you know what, I'm going to stick this out. Now I have the training, the tools, and the network to continue to carry this forward. So really proud of Jenny, who's somebody who ran the enterprise, knew something wasn't working, had the guts to say, I want to get help, and did it so she could build a better business model to take her nonprofit forward and, most importantly, serve more people. Emily Nunez is the final story I'll tell you before Gabi comes on the stage here about another social entrepreneur. And she runs a for-profit company. She started this for-profit company about 4 years ago with an idea. She went to ROTC, she was in the ROTC program in Middlebury College. She graduated Middlebury and had to go to Army school. And in fact, she did 4 years of Army school and served in Afghanistan. But when she was going, she said, you know what, at the end of the day, why I care about my work and being in the Army is about veterans issues. And how can I support the conversation around building veterans awareness? She built this company called Sword and Plow. And I met her right at the very beginning. She came to one of our impact houses when she was trying to develop this concept for this handbag. And she basically, from then, in the last 3 years, came up with a quadruple bottom line. Why quadruple bottom line? One, she creates a product that creates profit because people want to buy these beautiful handbags. Two, she uses repurposed material that the military otherwise would have thrown away, but she had insider knowledge around how she could actually access that. Three, she hires veterans to create the bag so that there's job employment for communities that are affected. And four, she donates the percentage of her nonprofit to organizations that are amplifying the needs of veterans. And she's getting out there to mobilize a campaign. She's running a for-profit. Shadra, grassroots activist. Jenny, nonprofit leader. Emily, a for-profit entrepreneur. All of these, to me, are social entrepreneurs. Their means and how they get there may be different, but at the core, there are some common themes, and I'll let Kaveh talk about those.
Yeah, so we have a sweet job, I think. It's we get to meet these people, we get to interact with these people, we get to work with these people, which is incredible. And one of the benefits of that is that we actually get to learn from these folks as well. As Cosmo mentioned, I think at this point we've had some 200 folks, maybe even more than that, I think go through the center through our various programs. And there's some themes that start to emerge from that, which I wanted to share with you guys, just so that there's a so what that you can walk away with at the end of this. One of the biggest things I think that we want to emphasize, and we really emphasize with all of our social entrepreneurs, and we see over and over and over again when it comes to what actually works, is the capacity to build empathy. By far, I know you probably, who's heard empathy? Have you guys heard it in class? And yeah, exactly. It's very sexy right now. But it's also real. It's actually, it's like the real kind of sexy. It's like the Angelina Jolie sexy, not like the Kesha sexy. It's the real thing. Is this on film too? Yeah, it is. So this idea of building empathy, you know, we always, one of our values is that we want to lead with empathy. Have that be your compass, have that be your true north. You are uniquely qualified as a human being to create uniquely human enterprises and businesses. And empathy is your tool to do that. That's the compass that's going to lead you in that direction, the compass to make sure what you create is relevant, and the compass to make sure that what you create is actionable and actually makes a change in the world. Tim Brown is a great person to look at when it comes to this. Has anyone heard of IDEO? Anyone? Great. IDEO essentially innovated this field. Really was at the frontier of this field, I would say, almost 30 years ago. Tim Brown's the president that has some amazing books I would highly recommend to anyone who's interested in this. But he focuses on design thinking as a toolkit around building entity that really starts with it. It's a human-centered approach to innovation that integrates the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for success. Everything that we just talked about. But leading with empathy is by far one of the best ways to ensure that what we do will work. Second, generating ideas. This is hard to do. This is easier said than done. But it's almost going back into this notion that there are no wrong ideas. That abundance is actually a good thing. You want to throw as many as you can out there. I love this diagram because I think it illustrates it beautifully. We tend to think that idea one leads only to solution one, and that's never the case. We look at any of these situations, it's never ever the case. Thomas Edison, I think, made over 1,000 prototypes of his light bulb with a huge lab of people. But our story is Thomas Edison created the light bulb. It doesn't work like that. So you want to throw out ideas out there, and you don't want to be afraid of them. You don't want to be afraid of failing. All of these little dots that don't go anywhere, these are all failures. These are all heartbreaks. These are all strife and sadness. And they're all really good because they got to those solutions. I know we've said this, but it's one thing to intellectualize it. It's a whole other thing to actually practice it. And I would encourage you to just start practicing this now. Has anyone heard of the concept of the yes and? You all know that from improv? It's awesome. Just give yourself a day, just yes and everything, you know? Almost everything. And but it actually works, and it just puts yourself into this mindset, even if it's just for 5 minutes at a time, of just saying, well, why not? What if? Why not? You know, and it really is pretty remarkable what can happen as a result of that. And finally, taking action, having a bias towards action. Nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. And the only way to make sure that it's not necessarily perfect, but is relevant, is to actually put something out there. You know, some people call it an MVP, you know, we can call it a prototype, there's different names for it, but have a bias towards action. Don't be afraid, going back to that failure quote. This is kind of the process that we really admire. Again, we've seen it in a lot of the folks that we work with. You want to start with this discovery phase, and now I think it's becoming a little bit more of a trend, which is helpful, but this idea of qualitative research, we're all capable of it. You tap into your empathetic capacity to do this, and you discover. You see you have a challenge, and you actually assess how to best approach it. Understand your market, understand your consumers, and then use that to actually derive insight. Take that qualitative data and see what themes emerge. From that, that'll lead you into the ideation field. Be inspired by your data. You know, don't necessarily go in there with an idea and then test it. Be inspired. Start with the data and see what emerges from that. Ideate. You learn something. How do you interpret it? What are you thinking? Start designing. Start designing and prototyping. You know, we love Post-its. We love pipe cleaners. We love tape. I don't even want to know what our budget is on Post-its and all that stuff. It's very, very high. But it works. It's worth it. And then from there, we've now gone into the prototyping. And this is where the magic starts to happen. You start putting things out there and start putting it in the hands of your consumers, and you start putting it in the hands of your users. It's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but that's exactly the point. And this is the process that we see the most successful social entrepreneurs. It's hard. Again, easy to intellectualize it, completely different thing to practice it. But the best way to do it is just to start out and try to integrate it in your daily practices, things that you already do. So with that being said, we want to kind of kick that off, try a little bit of a workshop here. I want everyone to turn and introduce themselves to the person next to them.
Your name? So, are you senior? No. You're first. Whoa, I'm a first year MBA. Look at that. Did you go to the networking one last week? Networking workshop? It was good. They had chicken. All these have food, and all these have freaking food. I got this.
All right, come back to me. Oh, I love it. All right, so easy. You guys make my job so easy. All right, so first time, we're going to do a minute each. All right, so person A, there's a person A and a person B now, or person C in some cases. Person A is going to talk about a problem or issue that matters to them most for 1 minute. Take some time to think about it. You don't have to immediately respond. The word vomit thing doesn't work all the time.
Start talking. You're like,
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, homelessness, I don't know. Just think about it for 5 seconds, be intentional about your answer, and go from there. We'll have a minute for person A. Cool, go for it. That's good, okay. So, good, about me. It seems like no one had a shortage of things that they were interested in. I'm not surprised, it's awesome. The what is the surface level, what we always get to, right? That's what it all manifests itself to. Where social entrepreneurship gets really interesting is where we start to dive into the why. And that's what we want you all to do. So to take the what that you just provided, and this you actually might need a little bit of time to reflect on. So I would propose taking about 30 seconds with just you guys thinking about this. Maybe writing some thoughts down, no talking. And really think, why did you just say that? Why does this actually matter to you? It might be a personal story, it might be an experience that you've had, it might be a personality or feeling. You might not necessarily even know or put it into context yet, but why? There was this exercise that I love, actually from IDEO, this concept of asking why 5 times. So, your initial why is like, because I care about it. Well, why? 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 Distill it down to the core of why. So take just a little bit of time, reflect on this, and then I'll let you guys know in about 30 seconds, and you guys can start sharing with one another.
And then I go back there for 10 years.
Alright guys, let's bring it back.
We went and got some ingredients like that.
So,
Before you became famous.
we're kind of curious what just happened. I wanted to put out there and see actually what some of the conversations were around. Maybe see if anyone is willing to share both what is interesting to them and why, but actually it would be interesting to see what your partner's perspective was. So if there's a partner anywhere out there that heard something that was interesting,
please volunteer with the permission of the person.
Yeah.
Share, yeah. And you can stand up and say your name, and what school you're at, and then share. Kind of the quick tweet length.
There we go.
Okay, but you go first, then we'll have you go second, sir. Yeah.
Oh,
You can say your name and.
Deborah Kozar, and Bill Disciplines Medicine and Business. The concept here, the same concern is affordable health care, particularly within underserved regions. And this particular model would address in India, but what part of what I was saying and the overlap on my model is global as well, which I need to get to the next slide.
What was the why?
Healthcare is like it's an essential without effective healthcare, people just die of treatable diseases, and without the access to good healthcare, we are hampering the population growth, and it's also it's an issue close to my heart because my grandfather died because he didn't receive the adequate amount of treatment that he should have gotten.
Right.
Yeah.
And my way on it is the QA/QC issue as well, because on the business model realm, at least within the U.S., the cost dollars and the lack of cost containment in addressing threatened high-risk populations, homeless populations that are more at risk, and the actual industrialization, capitalization on those populations as well. But the second one I had on it was just the grassroots model, where I personally housed 18 homeless and engaged in grassroots level and engaged in some case management, medical case management for these individuals. One of which just tragically, the state and federal government underwrote millions in the treatment of a simple squamous cell facial carcinoma, which resulted in a premature morbidity and resulted in the QA/QC issues 20 cancer procedures, loss of an eye, complete orbital incineration. The gross cost issues on the psychosocial and financial level unilaterally are enormous. So your model overlapping with my model in providing entrepreneurial employment work.
Did you guys know each other when you sat down?
No.
No, it sounds like a collaboration. No, that's great. And I think both of you had actually a systemic why, right? Access, it's treatable stuff that's not being accessed to basic human right, and then the why was also personal experience. The gentleman in the back, if you can advise and
Hi, I'm Ronald, and my partner here was Olivia. And her big thing that she wants to do is to create a way to teach the elderly, the baby boomer generation, how to use technology. And we're asking like, why do you need this when there's so many things out there already that does something like that, like YouTube tutorials? And she's like, because there's so many options out there, how do you know what's a good option or what's a bad option? And even within the good options, like, how do you have that level of interactivity, right? We have so many things and resources today that helps like people learn how to program for the kids, but what about the elderly and using the most basic functions? Like, Olivia was telling me like, I can't even get to class anymore without my phone. It's like, how do I know what room I'm in, right? So like when you look at things like this, right? Looking at a deeper issue, and then I asked, why is this important to you? And she said that when she was talking with her mom, and she was trying to use technology to like Skype her or whatever, that her mom was unable to do it. She got frustrated with it, and she gave up with it because it's difficult. And her family is one of the most important things to her. So the fact that there is just something that's blocking her communication with her family, if we could just bridge that gap, it would be really meaningful, and not just to her, but to an entire generation out there that she feels like is largely being ignored in today's society.
Thank you so much for sharing. In that, I see a lot of empathy that you have towards the elderly. You started with baby boomers as your target user group, but then you also realized that maybe reaching people that want to connect with the baby boomers is a potential target group, and that's, I think, powering on your empathy connections around who would actually be using this and for what. But that's beautiful. Thank you.
I can smell another venture idea over there.
She just got her developer.
Actually, I'm working on this idea right
You've
now.
been working on it?
Yeah, I've been working on it.
What
I
stage
just,
are you in now? Are you out?
it's still the initial stage, but I got my co-founder and I just got my developer today, so I'm going to build the website.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Congrats. Yes. Who's like really excited about sharing what their partner shared, or what, even of their own?
Or even you, yeah.
These guys are
Yep.
I'm Enrique, I'm a PhD student here at Penn. This is Pamela, and Pamela is very passionate about nutrition. She's from Guatemala, she's a trained nutritionist, and she believes that nutrition should play a more important role within as a means to treat people. Instead of going directly into medicines and pills and things, nutrition could be like a long-term way of treatment.
That's a great overview.
Yeah.
So we're both talking how we have seen the problems in our countries and how we can use science as a tool for developing communities and also like the general country, and just create more spaces of opportunity for people that are in college right now. So to teach them what we have learned and to make science a tool for innovation.
So yeah, Pamela is from Guatemala and Costa Rica, and we feel like science, technology, and innovation are key to helping the country develop, promote kind of a culture that not only tries to import products from outside, but also from inside locally tries to develop their own products and tries to boost the economy from inside.
Did you guys know each other before coming?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay. That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And we have one more eager presenter here.
We were talking about this issue of healthcare. Like everyone you meet down the street, they say that our healthcare system is broken. But why is it broken? We were talking about the fundamental issue, which is because of patents and proprietary patents. I think this might offend some people there, but like patents are really evil, I say. Because last week in the news there was this article about a hedge fund manager overtaking this healthcare company and raising the cost of an institutional threat from $13 to $750. I mean, we need to tackle these sort of issues if we want to kind of bring healthcare to everyone. Until a week ago, I was in India, and there I really saw the problems which were at the grassroots level, and the issues which we can, like, really simple things by which we can resolve the issues. Anish and I, which tried this, and I built a platform last year which allows people to kind of diagnose diseases at their homes using a portable accessory, a $2 accessory which they can attach to their phone. But we weren't able to bring it to mass market because of these reasons. So this is like what a key issue we both discussed, Julius and I discussed right now. And he also added his example of what happened back in Vietnam when he was visiting there. He wasn't like able to get access, but the cause was a big thing.
I mean, I see a lot of ideas that you guys have shared, and I'm seeing nods in the healthcare sector, so I sense that maybe there's some graduate students from the healthcare and also undergrads that are interested in that, in the intersection of technology and data, information to people about choices they can make. And I think at the core of that, there's a theme around the why is that information right now with the internet is highly accessible. Well, Mark Zuckerberg was talking to the UN saying the internet is a huge right. Why aren't we getting this, more actively out to people? Because that's how people can get information more through these deeper technologies. So really cool. Did you guys know each other before? No. I sense a friendship at least.
No pressure.
No pressure. No. Well, we hope this was just a great moment, like as speakers and as also audience members in many, many workshops. Creating a connection with somebody may change your life. I have been literally at a dinner with someone that changed my life. That became a friend of the project I did. And I just sat next to him because he had the biggest smile in the room. So these conversations, when you go to these events, and whether it's at the innovation conference in a couple of weeks, talk about what you care about, because you never know, what networking is already happening right here, and the connections. And Kaveh and I actually went to undergrad together, and through, kind of a couple of years apart, and then coming back together, we realized there were similar passions, and now we get to work together. So getting to talk to each other is a key to innovation as well. So
It goes back to the generating ideas, generate
Yes.
connections.
Yeah.
Generate connections for the sake of generating connections, not for a specific outcome, but just to actually connect with someone and feel what they're feeling for that moment. Become a researcher all the time. I think it's amazing when insights you end up uncovering as a result of that. So we have an exciting little announcement before we go into the alumni panel. We have a Q&A section as well for you guys, and I can't wait to introduce these guys too. They're amazing. But just a super quick announcement. We're very stoked about this, but we have a little product that we're just launching for current Penn students in Costa Rica. So we are, we mentioned earlier, we've had Penn Social Impact Labs, we have an executive program, et cetera, and this is the newest product to our residential programming. What this is essentially a 5-month engagement opportunity for current Penn students, graduate or undergraduate, who are interested in essentially going through the entire process of discovering, ideating, prototyping, and pitching a social venture around a specific cause. So what we will do as a center is take you through this entire process. We'll give you the tools, we'll give you the training, and we'll really give you the support system and the network. Just this is a taste of it, but really creating a cohesive group of people that will support you into those 5 months and beyond. That's really one of the things that I think as a center we do consistently, over and over and over again. We really create these almost families that continue to sustain one another through and through. This program, just to give you a quick idea, will be launching. So applications are open. We're accepting applications for this now. And it'll be kicked off in Costa Rica in this gorgeous, completely eco-sustainable ranch. It's called Ranch Margo. Do you know it? It's in Arenal. It's it's right outside La Fortuna. It's amazing. It's 100% off the grid. All the food we eat is actually from the farm. It's nuts. I went there last May. There's biodigesters, so the cow manure goes and powers the kitchen, and then they use the olive oil from the kitchen to make the soap, and then they use that to make laundry detergent, and then it is insane. You're in the circle of life. It's crazy. So highly recommended. Amazing place. Totally inspirational. And just to give you quick highlights on this, these are the 6 points that we're going to be focusing on when it comes to the Penn Impact Lab. It's a really exciting opportunity. I would highly encourage you guys just to look into the program and see if it's a fit or not. Again, it's our first year, but we have a little bit of insight in terms of what really makes social entrepreneurs emerge. We know what characteristics it takes, but we also know how to put it together and turn it into action. And that's really what we're interested in doing with this program. Guys, do you have any extra things on this guy as program director?
Sure. Well, I think what's different about this this program, the Penn Impact Lab. Lab is key. The word about lab. This is about getting an environment that's going to be supportive to test out your ideas, but we're going to push you to get critical and think, can this product or this idea actually impact people's lives first and foremost, or the planet? And then two, is it viable and sustainable? Is it going to help you be a successful social entrepreneur after you leave Penn? We're targeting anyone that's a student, because I also went to school and I did my undergrad, but I started my nonprofit while I was an undergrad. And I did it with really limited support. People thought I was crazy to go to school to run a company that you had to start yourself. That sounded crazy back in early 2000s. Now the trend is, oh, what company is running your dorm room? Which I think is great. But we're focused on folks that want to make an impact, and we're going to create a community of practitioners. And we're not just a 1 week experience with this lab, because we'll be working with students. We're going to take the spring semester, and we're going to take that idea, and we're going to learn with each other. And from students, I hope the dream is that we get MBAs, MD students, and undergraduate tech students, and critical or creative writers, and we want to get people from all across the university, so that you get to meet people from other places and actually maybe find your developer of your dreams, or somebody who can help see this from a different perspective that you can't get in another traditional classroom.
All right, and with that being said, I think that, let me just see what this is.
Yes.
I like this one.
We love this quote. It's a wonderful TED Talk by a lifelong educator, Rita Pearson, and she said this in her closing remarks in the TED Talk. How powerful would our world be if we had students who were not afraid to take risks, and who had champions who would not give up on them? School, whether it's the executive program or Penn right now, is, for me, about a safe space to take risks, to change the world. Kame and I in our center, we want to be your champions. We want to help be the safety net, because there is science saying that when there's a safety net underneath you, you jump higher and you leap higher, so that your ventures are not just a nice to have, but it's a must have for society to grow and expand. So see us as your champions, see us as allies. We both have experiences advising nonprofits or starting companies, and that's what we love to do. We're in the business of helping people help the world, and I think that's what Kaveh meant about being in a great job to get to do that, and with great students like you here at the university. So we'll transition. I think. Oh, you have the link.
Go to this link, please.
Yeah. If you want to go to the Impact Lab in Costa Rica, and/or that's not a possibility for this January, still get in touch with us, because we will have another program. The other Penn Impact House will be in August of 2016. So just reach out. Our emails are there for you to email us directly if you want to follow up on anything that we discussed today, or frankly anything we didn't talk about. And you were like, I came for this and you didn't talk about that. Well, we can talk about that too, we think. Hopefully. Oh, one question, yes. And you guys want to come on up to the stage?
So do you have to go to Costa Rica?
It's a great question. It is important that you come to Costa Rica, because it builds community immediately. And that helps establish the language that we'll be using throughout the experience. And they're long days, so you wouldn't want to miss it. I wouldn't want you to miss it. I know timing around the vacation time may be difficult, but you wouldn't want to miss it. But there are other ways to be involved with the center if that's not a physical
It's not a possibility.
Yeah, just reach out. Let us know your situation case by case.
Great. All right, sweet. So we'll transition over right on time. But we wanted to go over and introduce to you guys. Oh, you're sitting in the right order. This is great. We have Jared and Bill. I'll let them actually introduce themselves. Both affiliated with not only the University of Pennsylvania, but with programs that the Center for Social Impact Strategy has done. Both remarkable people, as is Cosmo, the third person on the panel today. But just to kick it off, I would love you guys to go through and maybe do a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And I'll start with Cosmo and come over down.
So I blazed through my intro in the beginning, so I'll slow that part down briefly. My name is Cosmo. I live in Brooklyn. My background for the last 10 years has been in the social innovation space. I started, like I mentioned, building a nonprofit in my dorm room in college with my brother, focused on educational access for women and girls in Honduras. Was able to raise a lot of money and get a lot of attention, but my question was, how do you build a successful social enterprise in a nonprofit? So I moved to Honduras, I lived there for 4 years, and learned a lot about what not to do and what to do when starting a nonprofit around education, but mainly my passion still is around access to education for women and girls, and especially around skills to be entrepreneurs and educators. So that was my first job, and then I transitioned and I went and worked at a large organization called Ashoka, which is what Bill Drayton leads right now, because they were on the investment side. How do you invest in social entrepreneurs and actually help their companies grow? How do you invest in that person? I was really interested in the leadership skills required to be a successful social entrepreneur. And I worked there and I did my master's at NYU, focused on social entrepreneurship and did a fellowship studying that. And now I'm on the training side, right? Entrepreneurs on the ground or helping support the ecosystem. That's what I care about. And I am gluten-free. That's a fun fact or sad fact that I'm personally dealing with right now. But that's me. Nice to meet you guys, and thank you for your awesome attention throughout the first part of the presentation.
Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Jared Stein.
Hi, Jared.
First, just wanted to thank Cosmo and Kaveh for having me here and all of y'all for coming. Quick plug, so Honest Tom's, what we all ate. How many of you guys have actually been to Honest Tom's? Okay, so most of y'all, it's on 44th in between Locust and Spruce. It's like a 10-minute walk from here. You should keep walking west after you get it, because there's a lot of fun things to explore in West Philly. But on Sunday, there's the Honest Tom's Taco Massacre. Once a year, Hot Taco Massacre. And it's a fundraiser for the organization that I work for, the Director of Academic Partnerships at the Agatston Urban Nutrition Initiative. We're a program here at Penn of the Netter Center for Community Partnerships. I graduated from Penn in 2009. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. My passion, I feel very privileged to really know in my core what all that I really care about is food. I came to Penn thinking that I was going to go work for Pepsi or go work for McDonald's. I kind of still do want to work for McDonald's, maybe like the CEO or something. But then when I was a senior, I took a course called an academically based community service course. I didn't know what it was. It was called the Politics of Food, which is why I took it. I took every class that said food anywhere, anything in it. And it connected me with the elementary school in West Philadelphia called Lee Elementary School, 47th and Hine. And my job there was to teach parents how to cook healthy. As me, it was 7 years ago. I was still, whatever. And so I get there, and I'm talking about quinoa, and the parents are like, "What are you doing? Teaching me how to cook? You don't know anything. I'll teach you how to cook." And I was like, "Great, you teach me how to cook. This will be good." But while there, really saw just on my trips over there, the unbelievable, to me, my eyes, my perspective, lack of access to fruits and vegetables and kids that were eating them. And my personal thing is that I'm really interested in cancer prevention. And one of the only things that we know about is fruits and vegetables are kind of important. So then I became a nutrition teacher here in Philly. A month in of chaos, one of the kids told me, "We don't give a fuck about your white person food." And then I just had no idea what to do. I was completely lost as a human, and thought about giving up. Before that, and I was maybe I should just ask them what they do care about. And for the last 6.5 years, I've been trying to listen to what the folks who I work with, what they really do care about as it relates to food. And one thing they cared about was having access to healthy snacks. And so why I'm sitting here is because I helped some kids start a healthy snack company in West Philadelphia called Rebel Ventures.
Delicious.
Thank you.
Yummy.
My favorite.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'll be available downstairs at Bridge Cafe soon. Anyway, so that's me as well.
Hi everybody, my name is Phil Waller. I'm in my second year of the MBA program at Felds. And so I'm going to be 31 in 10 days. And I've known that I wanted to be a social entrepreneur since I was 21. I remember the exact moment. But it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I realized like exactly like specifically what it is that I want to do, how I want to change the world. But basically, I guess I had an internship going into my senior year of college at a branding firm in New York, and they gave us this project, which was to help rebrand a charter school in Harlem, and they wanted to raise the amount of funding that the school got, the quality of applications, and then also change the school culture, all through communication. And I thought, oh wow, you can use marketing or like you can use like business acumen to solve some sort of social problem. So that's when I knew like, okay, this is what I want to do. And through that, kind of discovered that the Peace Corps had a business advisory role, rather required that you have work experience. So after college, I thought that I would get as close to Wall Street that my like GPA and my undergrad would allow. And I worked for a software company actually, serving investment bankers for 2 years from 07 to 09, right when like shit was hitting the fan. So it kind of confirmed that that's not what I wanted to do. But I went into it thinking like, let me go ahead and like get this on my resume, get these hard skills so that I can go to the Peace Corps and do what I really want to do. And what I realized looking back was that I've always had the skills to do what it is that I wanted to do. I didn't need the validation of the private sector. And I'm making this really long. So flash forward, so I was in the Peace Corps for 3 years, working on entrepreneurship projects for young people. And I loved it, and it's really kind of what I do still. After the Peace Corps, I spent 2 years in Haiti working for a microfinance bank, and reflecting on my 5 years living abroad on the same island in Haiti, and reflecting on my own personal upbringing. Myself and my sisters are the first people in my family to not grow up poor, becoming from generations and generations of poverty, and reflecting on why is it that the United States spends $1 trillion on social welfare? Why is it that the Red Cross was able to raise $1 billion, $500 million, and only build 6 houses after the earthquake? Like, why does this shit happen? And my big personal insight to that is because, similar to Jared, no one's asking the folks who need social impact, who need change the most. They're not at the heart of the conversation. And so I realized, going back to like communications, I've always just been passionate about media and music and helping people tell their stories. I realized that the way that I want to change the world is to kind of bring everyone into the conversation and give everyone access to the skills and resources needed to create change. Because you look at humanity, a fraction of a percent of humanity has had these resources over the history of humanity. And look at all the amazing things we've accomplished, right? Imagine if 100% of human beings, especially those who are directly affected by the world's greatest social issues, what if they had the resources? How quickly would we solve things? So that's why. Is that 10 minutes?
Perfect. So I wanted to ask each of you individually a question, and if anyone else has anything they want to ask, we can do. And then I was thinking after we do that, we open up questions to the audience. Should you guys have any? I mean, they're all awesome. So definitely I would say take advantage of the opportunity, pick your brains, and then make sure you have your emails on there. Well, not all right now, but we have their emails, so let me know if you want those. So Jared, so your story is super interesting. As an undergrad at Penn, as someone from Nashville, Tennessee, came to Philadelphia and has now stayed in Philadelphia and is creating ventures within Philadelphia. I'm kind of curious if you can walk us through a little bit of your journey and your relationship, I guess, with Philadelphia and how that grew. And what, I guess I'm trying to think, what advice would you have for people at Penn on how to go about engaging with the community the way you did?
So what got me to Philadelphia was a restaurant called Morimoto. Have any of you guys been to Morimoto? Yeah, it's super fancy. Like, it's when your parents come to town, have them take you to Morimoto if that's something that can happen. He was an Iron Chef, like in the Japanese Iron Chef though,
Ah.
which was like my jam growing up. I was like, no one watched Japanese Iron. Has anyone seen Japanese Iron Chef? All right, we have to hang out after. But anyway, so it was really food that started my exploration of the city and just trying to find like the best of whatever it was, and oftentimes that means not going down to Center City. Actually, almost all the time it means not going down to Center City or here in University City. Like I said though, it wasn't until my senior year, which when I talk to freshmen now, and when I work with freshmen, I work with a lot of freshmen and connect them to public schools in Philly. I feel like it's such an incredible asset to add to your education to really learn from unique and diverse perspectives. And I didn't get that though until my senior year in terms of like deep engagement within the West Philadelphia community. Then I mean the simple answer, I became a teacher, and when you're a teacher, you develop unbelievable relationships with your students and their families. It's unavoidable, and it's kept me here. I mean, it's all about those relationships. And so what I encourage anyone here to do is, whatever it is that you like, whether it's food or whether it's reading or writing or movies or whatever, just like use that as your impetus to go and explore, and then develop relationships with the folks in those places that you like ventured to, and if you are so inclined to connect that to education, Philadelphia is the poorest city in the country. The big cities, our education system is one of the most underfunded, and mentors and different energy doesn't always add value, but it oftentimes does, and definitely encourage you to, just go out and explore.
And Malcolm, I wanted to ask about you real quick, just thinking about your experience as well at undergrad, thinking about what's around you. You engaged with a very different thing. If you're in Philadelphia, you ended up being in the community and outdoors from your undergrad. So I'm curious if you have to think, and we touched on this earlier, but what specific tools or mindsets did you find very helpful in your undergrad that really carried you through your journeys?
Tools and mindsets, I don't know if I can pin them to undergrad necessarily, but I think what was most helpful is this mindset towards how do you take yourself out of the picture. And when I started my nonprofit in Honduras, the first couple of years were really difficult because we were the foreigners working on the ground in Honduras. It was 90% Americans and 10% Honduran staff. And we were always asking these questions about how do we do this? This is the problem that happened when the warehouse we were running was robbed overnight by a local gang. And we were like, how do we solve this? But it was like a bunch of white and Asian people trying to figure this out in this context, and this challenge exists for years down in the local context. So taking myself out of the situation, which I did, I stepped back as president in 2011 after 4 years of investing my blood, sweat, and tears. And I can't say that I started out the organization feeling that way, but I think I would advise my 19-year-old self to think about that, especially when working abroad or in contexts where you're not from there. And the best day of my journey, raising money and having this amazing organization that's built over 15 public schools on the ground in rural Honduras now, would be this moment I had with Maria Sonia Reyes, who was our first volunteer for the organization. I was 19, she was 18. She lived at an orphanage and had lived there her whole life. And she just loved what we were doing and came out and volunteered with us. And in 3 years, not only was she my best friend, she was the woman that passed on the keys to my car, to all of the essential office, and we named her COO. She runs the company now with my bigger brother, who is the CEO, and the staff is now 90% Honduran, 10% US. And that turn of events comes from this idea that it's not about Cosmo Fujiyama being leader of this organization, it's about the impact we can have on educating people and helping them help themselves more effectively, and then, yes, revolutionize the way that things happen in Honduras, and Yapa's on a way to do that. I think that's an important lesson that as you build a venture and a company, you are going to be the founder, but sometimes founders that love starting companies are founders. And they find the best executive team and then they step out. Maybe they have equity in the company, or maybe they just, they are interested in getting things going. I think owning who you are, knowing what you want, but also knowing that in the social impact space, really understanding where your ego is, what you're trying to gain out of this, but also what's the big idea, what's the why, and focusing on that. For me, the why was finding as many Maurice in Honduras to help them help their country. Now I get to do that by helping entrepreneurs in ecosystems like Penn help them do what they want to do. So the narrative for me has stayed the same, but I just didn't know how to articulate that early on. So that would be a big mindset about knowing how to build a sustainable infrastructure is for me, success. And investing in people is success. And that's what I'm going to be doing. But, I think that's an important thing, because a failure of a company is it's not your failure. Like, don't think that it's your failure. Like, it shrivel down. The more you actually detach your ego from a failure, the faster you can learn from that failure. And that's what matters. Not failing fast, but learning fast. So that you can take that idea forward.
Preach.
Feel the presence.
And speaking of that too, the mindset shifts and getting down to the why. Bill, I love what you said earlier about, you didn't need to go through that whole experience in the private sector. Again, not that that's bad, both of us have done that, to be able to be validated in the work that you're doing now. But I'm curious if you can dive into that a little bit more for us and tell us what really catalyzed that. Like, what was that moment where that mindset shift happened, where you went from identifying as someone that worked in the private sector to someone that, now it was time to become social entrepreneur?
Well, so for one, I think that before I went to the social sector, I had already identified that I wanted to be a social entrepreneur. And so my thinking was that the private sector would teach me things that the government sector and the nonprofit sector couldn't teach me, right? And so maybe I could reframe the question as, how did I kind of learn that maybe I didn't have to go to the private sector to learn those things? I feel like so much of what we do in life is best learned through experience, by being, by listening, observing, and thinking and reflecting on what we've gone through. And so there's only so much that you can learn, like in a book, right? Or there's only so much you can learn about the world when the only people that you talk to on the phone every day is an overpaid jerk, right? So, like, in my personal experience. So I guess ironically, I learned that insight by going through it, by actually being in the private sector, to know that I didn't have to be in the private sector. And so maybe that's the best kind of advice, is if you have a hunch about something, maybe just do it and figure it out for yourself. But I would also say that that's not, from my experience, it's not necessary. And then I think it's a continual process, like the validation, like who am I to believe that I can change the world? Who am I to believe that I can help some kid from some poor neighborhood in Philadelphia when I don't live here, right? And I think constantly being able to look in the mirror and realize that, as a human being, you are innately creative, you are innately powerful, and that's all it takes to change the world, is just to own that. I think, I think it's something that happens every day, but the sooner you realize that, the faster great things are going to happen.
You have all the tools you need, just by being a human being. Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to open it up. We have about 5 minutes left. I wanted to open it up to you all. We have an opportunity to ask a couple questions, and we'll start here. Yeah. So
first of all, I just want to thank you for coming today, because I feel like at work you don't really get this experience, and it's been resonating with my soul. Oh,
thank you. Thank Dee and Push. Thank you. The organizers are amazing.
These guys are
yes, awesome. Yes, thank them. We just show up for the.
Yeah, we do the awesome.
So my question is specifically for you, Jared.
actually share your passion and everything you said really resonates with me. So I'll be sending you followers later. But I just had a question about, so my idea is centered around providing access to healthy food to people who live in food deserts. And a lot of pushback that I get is, oh, it's just too hard to try to educate poor people, essentially, about healthy food options. And so, what's been your experience with that in general, about food, but in general about changing consumer behavior? And what do you say sort of to that criticism that you can't get for people to
It makes total sense. I'm trying to, we have to talk later as well, because this is an hour long answer. I'm trying to make this a minute. So it is incredibly hard. And the toolkit that I was given when I was a nutrition teacher, paid by the USDA Supplemental Nutrition Access Program education, was totally patriarchal, lessons given by Harrisburg that I'm supposed to teach in inner city Philadelphia. And I think lots of the critique of it's really hard are based on this like worldview that isn't like participatory, right? And when you are able to shift your perspective on how you're entering into the relationship with whoever it is that you're working with, and like really listen eloquently and ask questions and like really care about the answers. And then also be honest with yourself, like these are the tools, the resources, the time that I can provide, the consistency that I can provide. You'll see the impact that you want to see. We have kids selling healthy snacks to their peers and out-competing corner stores. They're choosing fruit instead of chips. They're trading in chips and candy for fruit and smoothies and granola bars. So it's not about like they don't want to learn, they don't want to do whatever. It's about like how are they being asked? How is the participation happening? In my experience.
And in your case, the students are the vendors as well, so there's like a peer-to-peer, right? Where they're like, wow, it's so awesome you have a company, you're learning about your product. Is that what's happening when you say participatory?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we try to frame everything as like we frame everything as a grassroots power with as opposed to power over environment. And it also just goes back to that value piece. Like when you're going into a school that's crumbling, to teachers that maybe have gone to 4 different schools, you have a nurse once a week, like what value is society putting on you? And when you're able to flip that script and really meet someone where they're at and show them that you believe they have value, it also, I think, is very impactful. You'll see the results that differ from the perspective that you brought in.
Yes.
Should we take a couple and then hear them first?
Yeah, we can do that as well. Yeah, we have a little bit of time.
So I know you want to make a couple announcements, right?
just wanted to.
Yeah, let's do 2 more. Let's start with you over here, and then if you have any specific ones.
Yeah. So Kaveh, I was wondering, besides the retreat and sort of the 5-month that leads up to it, how else would you be able to help emerging social entrepreneurs like that who don't go through the program? Do you do like more one-on-one? Like you explained 3 stories of 3 social entrepreneurs before. Like were they able to take advantage of the resources of the center, or was it
Yes, yeah. Anyone that's a Penn student, we are your champion. We have courses that we're currently creating a directory of all the social impact initiatives at Penn, working with all the different schools, so that you guys have better ways of navigating it. There are courses at SP2 specifically around social entrepreneurship for graduate and undergraduates that you can take, or you can do independent study through our center. If you have a specific question you want to be asking with Dr. Peter Frumpkin, you can do that with us. There is a immersive impact house, the Penn Social Impact House. That's going to be in August, and you can apply for that if you want to do that program later in the year. And we also do one-on-one workshops with anyone that wants to take their idea and just talk to us. We want to be a broker and a connector to our network. If you're working on an idea around nutrition in Guatemala, we know someone in our network that's passionate and there's a connection that can help. Those are things that we feel are the resources that matter. In our website, we're going to have a news section, a story section, where we tell a lot more around what people are doing, both from Penn but around the world. So, but we're just building that out. So your ideas also, we'd love feedback for what you would like.
And,
Please follow up.
and we have absolutely all of that, and we also are actually working with a lot of Columbia universities. So we're working with Columbia University right now and actually creating a very large resource pool. So for anyone that's interested, you can log on. Not yet, almost soon on our site. We'll send out a notice when that comes up, but of anything and everything a social entrepreneur would need. That's readily available on the internet already, so your toolkit essentially. So we're working with Columbia on that. So we're interested in making those resources accessible. And the other thing is we really believe in network learning, to Cosmo's point, what we just mentioned. So we have a global network section on our site that's filterable. You can take anyone that's gone through our center and filter by impact area, by geography, by a slew of different indicators to find somebody that has an area of expertise or an interest area that resonates with the work that you're doing. And an opportunity with the hopes that you can actually start finding folks to connect with. We always say that it's the power of weak ties. There's a lot of research around this, but the power of weak ties is really how people are able to push things forward and make just really incredible things happen.
And this is on your website right now?
Yep, socialimpactstrategy.org. You got it. Yes. Let's do one and then perfect. Yeah. Go for it.
Oh, thanks. And with regard to the great comment about proprietary stakeholder eliminating access, for example, with healthcare delivery systems, that type of thing. But the proprietary, as we've even seen, and I would pose this to both Jared and Phil, and also I want to commend Phil, because the question was the capability mechanism, what does qualify you to assume that role. And I'm glad you've overcome that. I made the mistake personally of buying into that nonsense for a quick moment, and I passed up a contract management slot as a result of that with Global. But I say that because the proprietary, as would apply, for example, with the Peace Corps, because that's just particular one particular model that you learned from. How have you found that you've been able to resist the temptation to instill that same proprietary perspective in your role? I gather, Jared, I'm not seeing it as much with you. And then the question I would pose with you, Jared, is how are you able to both basically recruit a multi-level market, this student population, peer marketing group?
Yeah, could you, I'm not sure if I understood. So how do I, the proprietary?
Some of the proprietary, even within nonprofits, there are the proprietary claims, protocols that monitor and that are subtle. Some are subtle, some are not so subtle. I know you're understanding what I'm saying there. Because as someone who's been formally an instructor within a school system for perhaps that type of thing, there's proprietary mechanisms in place that make it difficult to even be able to implement educational delivery, or in this case, healthcare delivery, or this. Or in your case, what you were describing, Bill, your Peace Corps social service delivery. And so I'm curious to know, in the role now that you have as founder of the Village Amplifier, how are you able to overcome those proprietary mechanisms and then move beyond that so that this can be a bit more entrepreneurial in its framework?
So are you asking how can I go about trying to create change or be a catalyst for change without feeling like, this was Phil Waller that did this, or this was Village Amp that did this?
Or this is perhaps just even Peace Corps subset number 2 versus Phil Waller, a unique entrepreneurial entity.
Yeah, I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think so earlier I spoke to like the hubris that it takes to be a social entrepreneur. Like how do I have this confidence that I can do anything, change anything? I think that has to come with humility as well, and understanding that I'm only just me and I don't have the answers to how to fix the world, even if I'm working with a population that I very closely relate to, or even a community that I come from. I'm still just one person in the grand scheme of things. And I think that was something that I learned a hard way as a Peace Corps volunteer, because they just throw you in the middle of a community. You're the only American for miles and barely speak the language and literally don't know anything. Like you're a baby for the first 9 to 12 months of your service. And I feel like if we can all approach social change in that way of, let me spend time getting to know this group intimately, closely enough, and to understand their pain points from their perspective. To me, that's a winning approach to change, and understanding that it's easy to try to keep it at the forefront of it. Does that answer your question?
It does, and it takes me to the brave new world, because essentially that's the litmus test of the courage it seems to take to operate into this type of thing, and the temptation not to fall back into the proprietary, where I see a lot of well-intentioned individuals, entrepreneurs starting out in not wanting to fall into that, but as the obstacles come their way, the big economics change, shifts, cyclical government failures to honor contracts, i.e., whatever. There's a burnout point. There's a stop stage point. There's this latent period, and then where we're going to be able to progress beyond that. So even as we're speaking informative senses right now in this brave new world, how are we able to, for example, what you're saying, where we're going with this stuff? Because where we're going with this stuff, for example, in our discussion, where are we just capitalizing on the U.S. Social Security Administration changes with expanding the retirement work age? And we're already in a brave new world, but we're already now being supported by a conservative government entity.
That's what we like to see. So in the interest of time, I feel like we should wrap it up. We're available for questions though afterwards as well. Just to quickly sum it up, guys, one sentence. What do you want? What is the best advice that no one hears when it comes to social entrepreneurship? No pressure.
Since this is going to be the last time I'm talking, the first thing I want to say is that participating in the Penn Social Impact House was not something that I had planned on doing until I.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah,
isn't this guy?
But was truly the most life-changing experience I've ever had. And you talk about like drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever. Like I am the Kool-Aid man. Like a much weaker version. I think I could actually break through the wall. The wall would break me. But anyway, I highly encourage everyone that's still here to apply and participate if you can. My one sentence for social entrepreneurs isn't my sentence. It's this guy, Augusto Cole, who started the Leader of the Oppressed, which is like an incredible organization. I actually don't even know what I'm going to butcher it. But it's basically, we don't do anything unless we're responding to the articulated need of the community that we're working with. And it's resonated with me.
Well, I would say, and this may be keeping in theme with some of the other things I've said tonight, the one sentence would be that you are beautiful and that everything you touch is beautiful. And so what do I think about that? I think the biggest thing that I learned also at the Social Impact House was, for the year and a half leading up to that, I had been in so many different fellowships and programs and pitch contests where I'm constantly the face of this village camp, this project, right? And everyone wants to know, like, how's it going to make money? How are you going to create change? What is it? And I always had to be on my A game, this very superficial presentation, like very glossy presentation of what it was that I was doing. And at Social Impact House, all of that kind of gets stripped away, and it's all about the people that are there, the human beings that are there. And I think one of the first things you tell us is that you're investing in people, not in ideas. And so recognizing that whatever thing it is that you're trying to do in the world, whatever it is you're trying to create, that's an extension of you, right? Not the other way around. You have control over it, over your entire life. I don't know how else to. It's like the Matrix, right? Like seriously though, like we grow up in this system and we're taught to think and behave in a certain way, and I think that's probably the biggest reason why like you don't have to go to college or you don't have to go to the private sector to like learn how to do things. So all you have to do is have your own mind and have your own lens and your own net, right? Here I am in school. Here I am. I went to the private sector, and I've got an amazing network because of that. But that's not what taught me who I am. Like I know who I am. I'm everything that I come from. So, yeah.
We are the Matrix. I love that analogy. I never had that before. These are remarkable.
I feel like I need like do this now. You're your own boundary,
That's right.
Bend the spoon, guys.
Bend the spoon. That's what it is.
This has been amazing. I know we have to dash. I would leave you with something that I think combines your thoughts together. I love what you guys said. In addition to thinking about what the world needs, I'm going to amend his quote. In addition to thinking about what the world needs, do what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is people who come alive. Howard Thurman said that. So make this education around Penn about doing something that makes you come alive, and share that light and that joy and that positive camping attitude, because that will be the way the future is going. Social innovation is not a trend. It is not a fad. It is a real way of living, so that our kids and our kids' kids actually have Earth and a society to thrive in. Not just live in, but to thrive in. So I'm bought in, and I hope you guys are bought in, and thank you to this amazing team. I'm amazed.